$100 billion. That is the price tag for a single supercomputer codenamed Stargate. To put that in perspective, it's more than the entire annual GDP of Ethiopia spent on a single cluster of silicon and cooling fans. This isn't just a corporate roadmap, it's a desperate all-in bet on the arrival of artificial general intelligence. I'm Alex. This is Beyond the Model, where we decode the AI revolution reshaping your world. Last week, we explored how AI is destroying the concept of average in the workplace. Today, we go to the source. The billionaires burning through trillions to ensure they own the intelligence that replaces us. Within the last 18 months, the world's most powerful CEOs have stopped talking about features and started talking about infrastructure. The shift happened almost overnight. In 2023, the focus was on chatbots. In 2024, it became a brutal war over electricity and chips. Microsoft, Google, and Meta have collectively increased their capital expenditure by over 50%, funneling nearly $200 billion into data centers in a single year. This isn't a gradual evolution. It's a total mobilization of resources, triggered by the realization that AGI, intelligence that matches or exceeds human capability, is no longer a sci-fi dream, but a hardware problem. The catalyst for this spending spree is something called the scaling laws. Researchers at OpenAI and Anthropic discovered a terrifyingly simple truth. If you increase the amount of data and the amount of compute power, the model's intelligence doesn't just improve, it leaps. We aren't seeing diminishing returns yet. Every extra $1 billion spent on NVIDIA's H100 chips seems to unlock new emergent behaviors that the programmers didn't even plan for. This has created a winner-take-all mentality. If the first person to reach AGI wins everything, then any amount of spending is justified. Mark Zuckerberg recently shocked the market by announcing Meta would own 350,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs by the end of 2024. That is roughly $10 billion just for the processors, not counting the buildings to house them or the electricity to run them. But here's what nobody tells you. This isn't about social media anymore. Zuckerberg is pivoting the most powerful attention engine in history toward general intelligence, because he knows that if Meta doesn't own the underlying model, they are just a tenant on someone else's digital land. The social network is now just a data harvesting tool for the AI. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has taken this even further, reportedly seeking $7 trillion to reshape the global semiconductor industry. That number is so large it sounds like a typo, but it reflects the absolute scale of the bottleneck. We are running out of the very things that make AI possible: high-end chips and the energy to power them. Altman isn't just building software. He's trying to build a new global supply chain that bypasses the limitations of today's power grids. He's betting on fusion and advanced fission to keep the cathedral of math running. Microsoft's partnership with OpenAI is the bedrock of this movement. The Stargate project isn't just a computer. It's a 5-phase plan to build a series of supercomputing clusters that will dwarf anything currently on Earth. The part they don't show you in the headlines is that this requires more than just money. It requires a fundamental redesign of how we use the planet's resources. Microsoft is now the largest corporate buyer of renewable energy in the world. They aren't doing this to be green. They are doing it because the AI thirsts for gigawatts that the current grid simply cannot provide. This level of investment has created what we call the Compute Moat. If you are a startup today, you aren't just competing with better code. You are competing with the physics of massive-scale infrastructure. The barrier to entry for top-tier AI has risen from millions to billions in less than 2 years. This is the Silicon Curtain we discussed in episode 4, but now it's being drawn by private individuals rather than just nation-states. The billionaires are building private fortresses of intelligence that no university or small government can ever hope to replicate or regulate. Everything I just told you is accurate. But there's a dimension to this story that almost no one in the media covers: the fear of the data wall. We are rapidly approaching the point where AI has read everything humans have ever written online. Once the models have ingested the entire internet, the scaling laws might finally hit a ceiling. The billionaires know this. That's why they are frantically pivoting to synthetic data, AI training itself on its own output. It's a high-stakes experiment that could either lead to infinite intelligence or a catastrophic model collapse where the AI becomes a digital copy of a copy. We are at the edge of a recursive loop. To solve the data wall, tech giants are looking at sovereign AI and the physical world. If they can't get more data from the internet, they will get it from sensors, robots, and cameras in the real world. This is why you see Google DeepMind shifting focus toward RT2, a model that translates vision and language into robotic action. The part they don't show you in the headlines is the failure rate. For every breakthrough, there are thousands of hallucinations and dead models that cost $50 million each to train. They are burning cash at a rate that would bankrupt most countries, all for a 5% increase in reasoning. Google's response has been to merge its elite research units, Brain and DeepMind, into a single war room. They are no longer a search company. They are an AI-first company, as Sundar Pichai repeatedly warns. But they are fighting a legacy problem. Their business model depends on you clicking links, while AGI is designed to give you the answer directly. This is the innovator's dilemma on steroids. Google is forced to build the very technology that will cannibalize its $175 billion search empire, simply because if they don't, OpenAI or Meta will do it first. The hidden cost of this race is being paid in resources we rarely think about. Water. A single conversation with a large language model drinks about a 500 ml bottle of water for cooling. Multiply that by billions of users and the scale of the environmental impact becomes staggering. But in the boardrooms of Redmond and Menlo Park, this is seen as a necessary sacrifice. They believe that once AGI is achieved, it will be able to solve the very climate and energy problems it created. It's a circular logic that requires absolute faith in the intelligence explosion. Over the next 5 to 10 years, this consolidation of power will lead to what some call digital feudalism. We are moving away from an era where you buy software and toward an era where you rent intelligence from one of 3 or 4 intelligence utilities. Industries like legal services, medical diagnostics, and software engineering will become dependent on the API keys of billionaires. If you aren't building on top of these models this week, you are falling behind. The winners won't be those who build the AI, but those who best integrate this utility intelligence into real-world problems. We are witnessing the birth of a new class of power. It is no longer about who owns the land or the factories. It is about who owns the weights of the most advanced neural networks. The stakes are viscerally real. We are handing the keys to human cognition to a handful of individuals who believe they can outrun the limitations of biology. This isn't just a tech bubble. It's the final enclosure of the human mind. The billionaires aren't just betting on a product. They are betting that they can own the future of thought itself. 3 things to take from today. First, the race for AGI is now a race for physical infrastructure, not just code. Second, the scale is all you need hypothesis is the most expensive gamble in human history. Third, we are moving from an era of software products to an era of intelligence as a utility. Remember that $100 billion price tag for Stargate? Here's what that actually means. The winners of this race won't just own a company. They'll own the cognitive infrastructure of the 21st century. Next video on Beyond the Model, the robotics revolution, when AI gets a physical body. If this changed how you see what's coming, subscribe. We're just